On today's edition of Tony's Fords and Mustangs, we're going to give the Maverick here a little bit of love. This car came with an extensive service record, 12 years worth of them. But most of them looked as if they were things that needed to be done, like a fuel pump. The alternator was replaced. Regular tune-up maintenance kind of things that most car folks are going to do, they seem to be neglected on this car. I've already changed the oil on it. I also degreased the engine compartment because, why not? I hate to work on a dirty engine if I don't have to. The first thing we're going to do is work on the distributor cap, and I'm going to show you here. And if you look in there, there's a 1 listed there right here. And you'll see a lot of folks on the internet just pull all the plug wires. I don't like to do that. I'm going to take them one at a time. Your coil is always going to go here. And if you take one wire off at a time, you start on the 1, it's going to be a lot easier for you. You don't have to worry about figuring out your timing order. You can just pull a wire, pop it on, go to the next one, 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 and you're done. All right, so this is always going to be my coil wire. So I'm going to pop that off. That's an easy one to remember. And the center one always goes right back to the coil. And then I'm going to look for my number 1 and pop this cap loose. 2 taps, hold that on. You can stay out of the way here. That would be appreciated. Packed by the fuel line. Rotor's coming off and seen better days, I think. You see the contact there's pretty corroded. Drop my new rotor in. And this cap, you can also see the cap is, all the contact points in the cap are pretty well messed up. I'm gonna pull that wire. That's 1. And I'm going to go right to 1. I know that one's good. Take the 2 plug off. It's actually 6. Go to 1. Go to here. 3. Go to 3. 4. Cable management here. 5. And finally 6. That's in tight, snug. Snap that on. This sucks right here. Why they put this right by the fuel line is beyond me. That's on. Coil goes back in. Job done. Now if you watch my video driving this thing home, when I first checked out the car, the front reservoir of the master cylinder was low, and I was concerned that there may be a leak in the system because it's a sealed system. But if you look at the place where the rubber seal would mount to the master cylinder, it's kind of corroded there. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to drain this fluid out of here. I am going to clean up that surface, clean up the gasket, and then reinstall it. And I think I'm going to be okay. So now that surface is pretty well clean and it should mate well to the gasket. Okay, so our master cylinder that was not really leaking was more seeping. That's squared away now, so I shouldn't get any more seep out of the top of that. I think next I'm going to do what is referred to in a lot of places on the internet as the Italian tune-up. And I've got a bottle of seafoam. Half of that I put in the tank. The other half is going right down that carburetor. And I want to do this prior to changing the plugs, because you're going to burn things off with seafoam, you might foul the plugs out. So I'd end up changing them again anyway. Yeah, she's already smoothed out a good bit. Let me show you here. You can see what's coming out of this tailpipe. That's just carbon deposits. Stuff that's on the valves. And I know you couldn't see behind the car, but there was plenty of smoke coming out. Okay, so now it's time to do the spark plugs. The engine's cooled down a little bit. I pull one plug wire at a time. I'm not going to pull all the wires because I'm going to get the firing order out of order. So the easiest way to just make it simple, pull one plug, gap your new plug, put the plug back in, put the plug wire back on, go to the next plug. That way your firing order always stays as it should. If you change your plugs prior to doing the Italian tune-up, this is what you'd end up with. So that's why I decided to, and these plugs, I just pulled one of these when I got back. Didn't look like that. But that seafoam will blow out any kind of carbon that's in there. So it's best to do it before your plug change so you don't end up with this. So this is why I like working on a straight 6. It's a breeze. Everything is right in line. Plenty of room to get in here. No issues with that. The plugs are coming right out. I would imagine they're all going to be covered with soot because of the seafoam. Yeah, they're all covered with soot because of the seafoam. And this oil that's on here, this is from degreasing the engine, so some of it just came down on the top of the plug, but they shouldn't look like this. And they didn't look like this prior to dumping the seafoam in there, but that's going to clean up all the valves, and that's going to run right down on the plugs. The one thing with plugs is you always want to hand start your plugs. Don't try to get in there with your socket right away and wrench down. That leads to cross-threading. And if there's one place you don't want to cross-thread, it's your spark plug holes. So this is not what you want your air filter to look like. If you can't see light through it, or really, like anything through it, if it's like a, Geordi from Star Trek eyepiece, toss it. Stereo's cranking. See this? This is a Ford part, and you can buy just this knob, but this whole crank was $4 at Rock Auto. It's not OE, but it's got a handle on it. It will turn. The other thing is, if you notice up here, not really sure what this kind of fix was. There's supposed to be a lock nut on the back of this. Somebody tried to engineer this with a zip tie, which, yeah, that's not going to work at all. Started focusing on this piece here, which was loose. There's a piece in the back that goes on this, and it was missing. So I kind of fabricated my own. It's there. It's not perfect, but it'll work until I get the right part in. Also, my door panel, there's supposed to be a piece of, it's usually wax paper that's held in here with this gummy stuff here, and it's just missing. So if that piece is missing, what that means is the water can go down past and get into the door card, and we don't want that. So I just fabbed one up out of plastic. Okay, is this perfect? Absolutely not. Will it protect the rain from coming in against the fiber door card? Sure it will. Yeah, that'll work. So here's my finished product. I don't think I did too bad. So the door card's back in place. It's now relatively waterproof. This thing is not rattling around anymore. I got a feeling that one over there isn't waterproof either. This is next, and this is a block of wood, 2x4 in there, and some common screws. Not something you see every day in a reservoir. These cars didn't come with these, and I'm thinking there might be some overheating issues. But I think that can be fixed with a flush kit, so I'm going to flush it. Also, this heater hose is from 1977, and it's probably due to be swapped out. Right now, I am draining the radiator, and I have a little trick here that I use. You'll see people just open a petcock. Actually put a piece of heater hose on the petcock when I loosen it. That way I don't get a big mess all over the place. The coolant will then just drain down into my drain bucket. Something else I want to do today, this paint job, I've got a kind of a plan for it. I'm going to bring up everything from this line, this contour line, up. I'm going to buff all of that up from here up. Below, this is where my bodywork is just, the past owner did it himself, and I give him credit for trying, but you need to block these things. There's supposed to be a seam here. This is a lower valance, and they just filled the seam in. And if you look down the side of the car, everything from this line down is pretty weak. So I need to block that out. And I've got some plans for it. So I'll let you see there once we get going. But I think the car's going to look sharp. That's not perfect, but it's coming around. It's coming back up. And that's really all I want to do here. This is not an abrasive. It's just a cleaner wax. I want to get some wax on this car. You go over here. This hasn't been waxed in years. I want to get a smooth feel to the paint here. I think I can work with this paint. It really could use a wet sand, but then we're getting into a whole different territory if I go to try to wet sand this paint. And let's face it, this is a 6-cylinder Maverick. It's not a high-dollar car. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time into it, but I want it to look a little bit better when I'm driving it around. Okay, so this will be the first start since the tune-up. This thing used to start really hard. It used to buck. There was missing. I want to see how she does now. That's pretty encouraging. Pretty happy with that. Started kick right over. All that was left was to test the work I completed. I did flush the radiator and wanted to test the cooling system, so I idled the car for 30 minutes. It didn't overheat, it didn't puke out any coolant, so I think I'm good there. It was time to test drive the car, to see if any of the work I had done made a difference in the car's drivability. I'm happy to report the car is running as well as a 98 horsepower, 256 cubic inch straight 6 Ken. I still can barely get a chirp out of the rear tires, but the car hums along, it shifts well, and it rides as well as any 77 Maverick. So there's your Maverick update. The car's running as well as can be expected. Yeah, it's 98 horsepower, it's a 256, so I'm not gonna, be burning down the streets, but just kind of cruise along comfortably and reliably. And that's really what I was looking for in this car. I've got some plans for this thing. They're cosmetic. It's going to involve body work. It's going to involve, blocking. But I think the results are going to yield a pretty decent payoff. I think cosmetically, this car can look pretty sharp. If you'd like to see the video where I picked this thing up and drove it 126 miles home, I'm going to put a link. It's going to be over here to that. Also, if you could subscribe, you could do that over here, and that'd be awesome. Thanks for watching. Until next time, we'll see you.